Thank you. Well, thanks, Rhonda. Your introduction reminded me of a statement that's attributed to St. Augustine, where he says, in essentials unity, in non-essentials diversity, but in all things love. So that's kind of our relationship. We have our non-essential diversity. So, and if you want to see some non-essential diversity, if you ever listen to our podcast, you'll see me and Dave argue every Saturday.
Pray for me. Pray for me.
Yeah, right. No, it's a lot of fun. I had a guy tell me one day I used to be with Youth with a Mission, YWAM. I don't know how many of you know that. My wife and kids and I, we were overseas for 11 years before we came to Tulsa. And we had a leaders meeting once a week, and we were told one week to get up and just say something to the person next to you, tell them what you think about them. And so the guy next to me says, man, the only thing I can think about you is weird. And my old secretary, she nicknamed me Ed Weirdo. Those who know me probably know why. I don't fit any. I'm just going to go through a little history of myself, because I really think a lot of you that think you know me don't really know me, okay? Some of you do know my bio. But I was actually born a German. My mother was German. She actually got to see Hitler in person.
Wow.
When he rode through a village. And in fact, Soldiers Field, where you always see where they're blowing up the big swastika after the war, I used to play in that place and on the steps and everything, and because I was born only 6 years after the war. But anyway, so my mother was German. My dad was from Mississippi, a black Mississippi GI. And what the Americans did, this is, people don't really know this, but the Army wasn't integrated until actually the year I was born. That's interesting. But anyway, the military, Truman did that. But anyway, so back then, what the Army did, U.S. military, to poke the Nazis in the eye, they put all black troops in the heaviest Nazi concentrations. So Nuremberg is where I was born, Nuremberg area. That's where the trials were too, the Nuremberg trials. But anyway, so all the military there in that area were black. And all the girls weren't.
Things happen.
Thank you. I was searching for a way to express that. I was one of those byproducts. Anyway, and so, but when I was born, interracial marriage was still illegal in about 20 states. And so it took my dad and mom 5 years before they got married. I was 5 years old before they got married.
Wow.
And they kept trying to talk my dad out of it. And they didn't really want American soldiers marrying German girls anyway, because a lot of them were spies. A lot of the women were spies. There was a big problem with German girls marrying GIs and then coming to America and spying, so that was frowned upon. And then, because it was still against the law in several states, they tried to frown upon that. So anyway, yeah. And so I didn't speak any English until I was 6 years old. I only spoke German.
How did you learn?
Just
by hearing?
Like kids learn. Yeah. And so, it's funny, I was 3.5 years old, and one day, after I was 8 months old, my dad got shipped back to America. And so, 8 months, and then, so for 2 years, my mom didn't hear from him.
Oh my.
Yeah, and so, I'm not going to go into it because it's a long story, but it was pretty miraculous actually how he got back. It's an incredible story. But anyway, so one night I'm there playing, and my mom, me, and a little dog. And in fact, our whole the Germans, we lived in the German version of projects. Back in those days, after the war, it was devastating. The German economy was just nothing. It was devastated. And so my mother had they had these things called barracks. And it was these buildings they built with like plywood walls that were about a half-inch thick. And then there were about 8 units, 4 on each side, and then there was a hallway. And that's where we lived. And they were probably about 16 by 8 foot. And we had a potbelly stove in the middle of it, and my crib and my mom's bed and a sink, and that was it.
Wow.
And so my mother would work all week, and my grandmother actually raised me. So gives you that. I'm just trying to paint a picture of everything. So then one night we're there, and the door knocks. My mother goes to the door, and there's my dad standing there.
Wow.
He's back. And so it took him another year and a half before they were actually able to get married. And so from that time on, we moved in. I moved in with my dad.
Now, where was that?
Can we ask questions
okay,
after?
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I'm trying to draw this.
Yeah, I say. So anyway, so we moved to another town named Straubing and lived there for another 2.5 years. And it was a farm town, and my best friend was this little German farm kid. And the first day I got there, I'm standing on the street, and here comes this little gang of 5-year-old Germans. And the leader of the little pack says, "Man, you're black. What happened to you?" And so I didn't take too kindly to those words. And so me and this kids are fighting on the street, right, their first day, and I beat the pulp out of him, Anyway, so he and his friends took off. So I'm in my house where we were renting, and all of a sudden, about an hour later, the door knocks, and I take off into another, because I knew he had gone to his parents. And so I hear my mom out there talking to this kid's mother. And is there a little boy living here? And this, yeah. And Mom, Eddie, get out here. So I go out there, and there's Reinhardt was his name, standing behind his mom, and he's got like bruises all over. and I'm just scared to death. And what does his mother say? She says, "Okay, Reinhardt, what do you say?" And he comes up and says, "I'm sorry." Every time I tell this, I almost start crying, because it was one of the most amazing things. She made him say he was sorry. Yeah. And anyway, he became the best friend I've ever had in my life. Yeah, and we were inseparable from that moment on. For those 2.5 years, we did everything. And we got out of school earlier, the Americans, and his dad was a farmer in town. They had potato farmers, and I would go out with I'd leave my bike at their house and go out with his dad and them in a track, and his brothers, older brothers, go out into the farm and work the farm with them. And then Reinhardt would come from school and ride my bike out there. And at the end of the day, they'd throw the bike on top of the wagon and we'd all come in. But anyway, what's interesting, right after that, my dad and I came to America. My mother couldn't come because they didn't give visas then like they do now. Yeah. Well, that's true, legal ones. Yeah, and so my mother couldn't come, so they decided that I should come with, because maybe it would make it easier for her to get a visa. But where did we go? We ended up, and they dropped me off in the projects of Philadelphia with my dad's brother. So my dad was stationed in New Mexico. And so I live in the projects of Philadelphia. And so I just imagine a little kid from a little German village speaking broken English, ends up in the projects in the urban ghettos of Philadelphia. And the first kid I meet is a little guy named Tubby, who was probably the little toughest guy on the block, but we became best friends again. And we didn't fight this time. But anyway, so I ended up in Catholic school, but being in Philadelphia, even then, gang life was just the way it was. So I was 7 years old. So what we did, we split our Catholic second grade class up into 2 gangs. My gang and the other gang. I know some of this stuff seems unbelievable, but it is true. So we decided we're going to have a gang fight after school. And so I picked the wrong group because they ran. The other gang didn't run, and they just beat the crap out of me there on the street. And then one of the little girls ran and got the mother superior, and so she took me back, and I was thankful because I thought she saved me. But she only saved me so she could whip me with the yardstick. And then she made my aunt, who I was living with at the time, promise that she wouldn't let me come back to school until she beat me. So I was, Anyway, from there we moved to New Mexico, and we had a lot of interesting things. Any of you that saw the movie about the space chimps, Champaninos, well, they were there where I was my dad. We used to clean the hangars where they kept the space chimps, and we saw the rocket testing, the sleds and all that. So this is the era that I grew up in. I coming from the projects, moving to New Mexico, then I grew up identifying as totally black. It was never a mixed thing, my German heritage, nothing. I was black. And all the way up until I went to college. I went to Texas Tech. My first day on campus. Anyway, my first day on campus, this is one of the funniest ones. I came from Germany. I graduated from high school in Germany, which is another story, but I'm walking on campus with my bags, and I didn't pay good attention. I came a day early. Campus was closed, so I'm walking around, so I have to walk a mile to a hotel, and these cowboys come driving up. And it was back in the day when the Grand Prix was real popular, and with the longhorn on the grill.
Yeah.
Like I said, this stuff is just, it sounds unbelievable, but this is really happened. So these guys are driving with their hats and the big grill. They pull up, and there are 3 of them, one in the back seat. And so they roll the window down, and guy comes up, spits his little chew. He says, "What's going on, spook?" And and me and my friends, we used to call each other spooks. They didn't know that at the time. And I just started laughing. I mean, it just hit me as funny. I started laughing, and these guys looked at each other like, this N-word is crazy, you know? And so they hit the gas and took off, you know? And I was supposed to have a double room, but my roommate decided he didn't want to have me as a roommate, so I ended up with a single room for the semester. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know. It's funny because I never saw these things as negatives. I always saw them as positives, you know. Well, hey, I got a single room, you know. But anyway, so I came there to play football. I got injured, got pneumonia, and I realized I wasn't doing well in school, so I decided I better quit because one way or another I wasn't going to play football. So I quit and ended up graduating from Tech. Then the other more negative side, I was the main dope dealer on campus. I became a hippie, black militant, drug dealer, all of that, yeah.
Did you have the hair?
Yeah, oh yeah, I had the hair, bell bottoms, platform shoes. I even carried a nice big bag and a vest with the frilly things.
What year was this?
It was 69 to 73, yeah. And then I graduated, and here's the funny thing I have to tell you. When I was smoking dope, I actually thought I would never be able to quit this because I just didn't think I could ever quit this because I enjoyed it, you know, and I didn't So this is how addiction works, but I was honest enough. And one day I went to El Paso, Texas, where my parents lived, and hung out with these guys, and we would go to Sambo's. Remember Sambo's? Yeah. It's Denny's is what it became, but it used to be Sambo's until I was politically incorrect. So then we would hang out at Sambo's and drink coffee to bring us back down. And so we're sitting there, and this young black kid walks in, and everybody goes, "Oh, don't look at him, don't look at him." And of course, what do? I look right at him. And I said, "Why are they so afraid of this guy?" Well, it turned out he was the Jesus freak. And he was a young, And I looked at him, "Hey," you know, and of course he comes right over to us, and everybody's going. It was kind of like roaches when you turn the light on. They did. And so I got to meet this kid, and to make a long story short, he led me to the Lord.
Oh yeah.
And on June 8th, 1973, about 9:30 in the evening, I walked forward, gave my life to the Lord Jesus Christ, and my entire life has changed ever since then. Wow. So that gives you a little history of who I was, who I am, and since then we were missionaries, my wife and children, and we worked in Amsterdam with drug addicts and prostitutes. And then I pioneered a work in Uganda after Idi Amin left shortly, and it was still real dangerous. People were being killed around us and stuff. And I still go. I run these two orphanages over there now. I support and raise money for. And about 3 months ago, well, actually about a year ago to 6 months, Kelly Dunkerley and Darren Gantz asked me to consider running for city council. And I don't know if you remember, I always said I'm running from office instead of for office. I really had no desire to run for office, but they kept working on me, So the week before filing, they came over one day, and we sat in my conference room for about 4 hours, just discussing. And finally, my wife, she has never wanted me to run for anything, but she wanted me to stay as far away as I could. But this time she said, "I think you should do it." So I said, "This must be God." And so I went down the second day of filing and filed. And it's really been interesting because I've really given it to the Lord. I don't worry about it. I don't care if I win or lose because it's in God's hands. You know, if you want me there, I will go there. Now, I will say the more deeply I've gotten into this, the more I've wanted to take it, just because I've seen what's necessary and what's really there. And I think one of the things that really helped me, I was at this meeting at the, Anthony, you got to help me. I can never remember the name of that place.
Center for Public Secrets.
Yeah, the Center for Public Secrets. That's it. Yeah, and it's Public Secrets. Yeah, it's this left-wing group downtown, and Laura Bellis came in and introduced herself, and she says, "Hi, I'm Laura Bellis. I can't stand you." That was her introduction.
Did you say thank you?
I did. I actually started laughing, and because I said, "I don't know who you are, lady," and really, I really don't care. And she walked away, and that gave me a little extra incentive right there. Because I can't wait to sit next to you, you know. But yeah, essentially, Lori Dector Wright is my city councilor, and she has been one of the most liberal members of our city council. But what's interesting, people don't seem to know that. You know it, the conservatives know it, and people that have met her tell me she's a very nasty person. She's not a very pleasant person. I've never met the lady. I don't know what she looks like in person or anything. I've just heard things about her. But her policies and the things I've read that she is for, I am very much against, as you are. And if she continues on the council, she will be the chairman of the council. But she, between her, Laura Bellis, just the two of them, actually, to be honest with you, and with a couple of the others, will really turn us.
Vanessa, Laura Bellis.
Oh, I forgot, Vanessa, oh yeah.
Would be the three.
Right, those, yeah, those 3 or 4 will,
Oh, that lady Dutton.
yeah, they will turn this town, and which is essentially what they want to do, make it into San Francisco. I spoke to the Thai pros about 8 years ago, and that may be why Laura Bellis said that. She might have been at that meeting because I did not agree with anything that they had to stand for. But the Thai pros, I don't know how many of you really have ever dealt with the Thai pros, but Tulsa Young Young Professionals, Tulsa Young Professionals. And this is a conglomerate of young people that are supposed to be the future movers and shakers in town. And they're sponsored by the Chamber, Tulsa Chamber, and of course the Kaiser money and all of this type of thing. But I got into it with several of them, and I just basically told them what I thought of them. And they didn't like it very much, which I didn't care. I don't think they'd ever heard anybody speak. For example, the lady who's over the Islamic group here in Tulsa, do you know her?
Her name right now, but I can see her.
Yeah, we all see her. But anyway, she got up and started talking about this genocide that the Jews are perpetrating against the Muslims, and I just said, a genocide? It's a family feud, you know, and nobody ever heard that, because if you think back, it's Ishmael and Isaac.
That's right.
Right? They're all descendants of Ishmael. It's just a family feud. How can that be genocide? You know, and who's attacking whom? And then there was this Hispanic guy that was talking about how his kids in Bixby were being called porch monkeys. And I just started cracking up. I said, oh, come on, please. You know, and he's whiter than anybody in this room, you know, and I want to tell these people, you got to quit lying. Why are you making up this stuff? You know, this is ridiculous. My kids, you know, don't have any problems. You know, they're over at Union, but it's not that much different from Bixby. But all of these things gave me incentive to see Tulsa change. I'll just tell you briefly about my family, my kids. My kids all went to Dutch schools, and we were in Amsterdam first, then moved to Germany. So they went to Dutch schools and German schools, speaking just purely Dutch, purely German. When we came here, my daughter ended up at Victory Christian School at first, and the girl, she was in the 8th grade. And in the 9th grade was a girl from Holland. My daughter and the Dutch girl were the #1 English students in the American, they were the top English students, which told you there's something wrong with the way we teach English here in America.
Whole school system.
Yeah, and so we transferred over to Union, and my daughter ended up with 4.0 all the way through, and ended up a full ride at Pepperdine where she got a 4.0.
Pepperdine's a beautiful, great school.
And so, but it was the foundation they received going to school overseas. And I remember one of my sons, he's a lieutenant commander in the Coast Guard, and he's a pilot with United Airlines.
Oh, wow.
But what's interesting, I come home one day, and I walk in the door, and here he comes, Dad, I can explain. I said, explain what, Zach? He said, I got a B. But it was hard. I said, well, let me ask you, Zach, did anyone get an A? Well, yeah, a few kids. Well, then why weren't you one of them? You know, I could easily have said, oh, I understand, and oh yeah. But see, that's the thing. We have gotten to the point where we accept the line. We accept that black children are just not able to learn as well as the Hispanic kids aren't able, poor kids aren't as able to learn as other kids. We've just began, Francis Schaeffer's son, who really is a disgrace, but the title of his book really fits, and it's called Addicted to Mediocrity. And we really have become addicted to mediocrity. And we've got to change that. The problem is not our school districts, our school system. It's the fact that everybody's griping about it all of the time. We've decided, right, Elena?
Yes.
The kids aren't getting the support at home. You know, my children, every summer, my wife would have them at the library reading books and picking out books and sitting down and doing things. She would sit with them. I was busy working and trying to make, when we came here, honestly, no joke, we came with a van that my parents gave us and our suitcases, nothing else. And from there, just working up to where I ended up with my own insurance agency and everything, and ended up with our kids. As I said, one's a pilot with United and a lieutenant commander Coast Guard. My youngest son, we just got back from Fort Lauderdale. He's vice president with the Florida Panthers, who are the Stanley Cup champions this year. Our daughter runs the Crisis Pregnancy Center in Los Angeles. And then and then Eli, the one that's still here, he's building restaurants, and he built the Meals on Wheels facility there on 41st Street. He just redesigned the Summit Club downtown. So, and I only say this, I don't say this to try to brag or make me look good, because actually I give more credit to my wife than anybody else. But it's to have faith and not accept mediocrity. You set the vision. You set the vision high. And you don't accept failure. Now, I didn't whip my kids or beat them if they didn't achieve or something. I wanted them all to be lawyers. And that was what I was pushing, every last one. But they each had their own way. And then once they did it, I said, okay. But they wanted to succeed in what they did. So I know that education is now one of the things in the purview of the city council, okay? But the atmosphere that we set for the tone for the city is, and the homeless situation, the real issues for the city right now, I see the homeless situation is getting critical. Was it just yesterday or I believe earlier this week, they've opened this new facility, 80 apartments for the homeless.
Where is that?
It's up near,
We still have homeless.
it's further north. It's up, yeah, by Mohawk Park, exactly. It's up by Mohawk Park. And, I was interviewed by the Chamber of Commerce if they wanted to give me money. And when I got to this, I saw everybody. Everything changed in the room. But they asked me what I thought about homeless. And I said, what you feed grows.
Yeah.
And we've got to quit feeding it.
Amen.
And we don't want to become a homeless magnet. Because as soon as we build this facility for 80 families or people, what's going to happen? More are going to come.
Yes.
And more and more. And then I was talking to John Doak earlier today, and he was telling me about people living in the woods, in all the vacant places over off Mingo. And there was one earlier over off of Garnett, I believe it was. But they're starting to have these homeless encampments And we don't want to become San Francisco. We've got to do something to stop this. So anyway, homelessness, our police, we're down 140 police officers. We've got to figure out a way. Everybody keeps making excuses why we're down, you know, and it's not money. It's not money. It's probably because everyone has spoken so badly about the police. The police is not a vocation that young people aspire to any longer. It's something that they want to stay away from. And we need to reinforce, once again, make that a proud organization. Yes.
What about reparations, Eddie? Where do you stand on that?
Oh yeah. Oh, reparations. Thank you, Rhonda. That's one of my, the mayor has formed a new commission to look into reparations for the race riot, which they've renamed massacre, because it gives it more gravitas, you know. But really, here's the deal. How many people are native Tulsans that were born and raised here? How many of you? Okay, see how few? Okay, everybody else that wasn't here, you will be expected to pay your taxes to someone who claims they have grievance from this riot that occurred 102 years ago.
Wow. Remember that bill of attainder I was talking about? That's it.
Okay, all right. For those of you that know what a bill of attainder is. Anyway.
See, your kids should have been lawyers. They would have known.
Right, yeah, they should know. But anyway, so there's no reason that people that had nothing to do with it, didn't live here, didn't have any, should be forced to pay for something like that. It's ridiculous. And so my opponent, Lori Dector Wright, Laura Bellis, and Vanessa have been appointed to this, and then they're getting some citizens on board to try to figure out not if we should pay, but how much we should pay. Yeah. And so, okay, thank you. I was told I had 90 minutes. I know. I'm kidding. I'm lying. I'm just kidding. I'm making it up. Dana, I'll save some time for you here, brother. No, but seriously, but my main two focuses are that, and well, that's kind of a byproduct that we really do have to deal with and stand against. But the other thing is this money being spent on, she wants to give more money to the convention center, the PAC. She's a ballet dancer, but opera singer. I'm sorry, no, yeah, you're right. She's an opera singer. I'm always thinking. I didn't want to go there, but she's an opera singer, but they're wanting $10 more million for the Performing Arts Center, the convention center, and then all the museums and everything, and the library, the downtown library. The library has become a homeless shelter, really. Nobody goes to the library anymore. The kids, everything's online. You can get whatever you need online these days, right? So anyway, those are my main three areas: the security, police, fire, quit spending money downtown, fix our streets, our intersections, and then of course dealing with this thing with the race riot and so forth.